Good morning, real estate professionals, and welcome to episode number 63 of the 5-Year Real Estate Career Video Podcast. My name's Patrick Butler. I'm here with my two partners who will introduce momentarily. But today's a very interesting topic. It is win the day every day, with win being the operative word. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank in advance best-selling author James Whitaker for providing us some of the insights we're going to share with you today. But think about this for a minute. In real estate, your calendar is your boss. And without a set daily routine, this is true in life too, by the way, it's easy to confuse being busy with being productive. Today, we're going to talk about how structure creates success. Also, most agents don't fail because they lack talent. They've all been trained. They fail because they lack a consistent plan, a solid daily routine that separates the pros, I'm not going to say from the cons, but from the part-timers. And lastly, every top producing agent has one thing in common, and that's a predictable day that leads to predictable results. Think about that. Let's break them down and how routines build momentum and why your future closings depend on them. So before we get started, I do want to introduce my two partners in real estate and in success, Mr. Skip Wiley, the fanatical marketer. Skip Wiley has been in this business for a long, long time, shares incredible insights from his experience in the business, both on the mortgage side as well as real estate. And Mr. Eric Wilner, the automatic landlord. Eric is one of our experts in the vertical of investors, which we do spend a lot of time with on this Friday podcast. So, Skip, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Why does James Whitaker use the acronym WIN for the WIN plan as a daily success blueprint?
He uses three words, but I'm going to talk specifically about the most important concept I learned at a very young age. And I don't know that I actually knew it, but it was part of my personality, part of the reason why I've had great success throughout most of my life. And that's the why and the vision. And, um, you know, every day when you wake up in the morning, you have to ask yourself why you are doing this. This is the occupation that you choose. And at a very young age, I will tell you a very quick story about my life, very quick, within 2 minutes. At the age of 21, I was working for J.C. Penney's for pennies. I wanted one thing, freedom and to be self-employed. I really didn't want to boss anymore. And I also wanted something very significant income, but it was the freedom that drove me. At the age of 24, I was working very successfully for a real estate company. I still wanted more in life and I wanted my own business. So I bought an ERA franchise. Why did I buy it? I wanted to be my own boss and I wanted more freedom and the potential of making more money. At the age of 37, I got tired of that business. It was a successful real estate business and I sold it. And I took off for about a year, built my juices back up, changed industries at the age of 38, joined a company, worked for them for 3 years, became very successful because I had this strong motivation for income and why, helping people. And then at the age of 39, I stopped working for them, opened my own company, build a hugely successful real estate business. And then at the age of 52, my world collapsed completely. The industry that I was in, the mortgage industry, changed, but my energy didn't go away. What happened was the world crashed. Everybody I know that was in the mortgage business, 78, 80% of them, crashed and burned, and that's what happened to me. But here's the reason I share this story. Throughout this whole life history of building successful businesses, the most important thing for me is why was I in that business? Why was I designed to be successful? And it was because I had a vision for that success. And I'm going to give you a couple of books that I really urge you to go out and buy. There are about 10 different books that are out there, but I'm going to pick my two favorite. One of my favorite books is called Atomic Habits. It is a book that'll help you create a business plan, a vision for your business. Another book that is very significant is a very popular author called Simon Sinek. He wrote a book called Start With Why. And if you're having difficulty, and a lot of people do have difficulty with really understanding a vision for your business, those are two great books. But I'm going to give you a couple of other points about the vision and why. And that is, I have a vision today at my age to leave a legacy for my family. I'm a father. I have two adult boys with disabilities. They're not going away. A lot of the assets that I had when the world collapsed are gone. So I joined a company that would allow me to earn direct income, indirect income, but very importantly, residual income that can outlive me. And so whatever your vision is, my personal vision is to have 100 agents closing 8 transactions, no personal debt, and leave a legacy for my family. And so what do I do on a regular basis to remind myself of what my vision is and my why? Well, every morning at 5:30, I pushed it back from 5 to 5:30. I go through a routine. Why am I doing this? And what am I becoming? What do I need to do to achieve that goal? There's another great book that I recommend, and it's a book that I read often. It's called Miracle Morning. It's a book, a terrific book, along with Atomic Habits that keep me focused on the right actions. And this is one thing that I urge you to consider doing. Get a coach. Get another real estate agent to coach you if you can't afford to pay for a personal coach. Because what you want to do is you want to audit yourself every 90 days. Are you working toward that vision, toward that goal, that personal goal that you have? And you want to ask yourself on a regular basis, is what I'm doing today bringing me closer to my goals? And to have an outside person monitor your activity, whether it be one of us or a real estate coach that you pay, or another associate in your own firm where you audit him, he audits you, it'll bring you closer to that process of developing that winning plan that you need to have in order to achieve your goals. Back to you.
That's good stuff. And it's funny when we talk about coaches, sometimes we get a strange connotation for that. But in every profession, um, people have coaches. Professional golfers, they work with coaches all the time because their game can be thrown off by the slightest little tick. And sometimes they need that third party to guide them. And when we ask the question, well, isn't it expensive to have a coach? Well, isn't it expensive not to have a coach? They say that about
Absolutely.
education, right? Education's expensive. Well, try ignorance. It's a really good point. So yeah, Skip, those are absolutely great things. And those books are wonderful books. I encourage everybody, take some time and grow your brain outside of just the traditional nuts and bolts of our business. So the W is the wonder and the why in your vision. Eric, let's talk a little bit about the I in the win success formula.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of acronyms and things just to kind of remember and stay within a structure. You know what I mean? And so structure is really important. In fact, what you'll find if you study, and I love biographies, those books that Skip recommended, I recommend all of those. In particular, that Miracle Morning. I think that's probably one of the most influential books that I ever read. And he breaks down an acronym called SAVERS, right? So in the morning, you got to start your day. But what you'll find out that every successful person has a structure. They have a structure that they follow, so they don't have to waste energy or even time or thought on what to do next because they already have that structure, their habits, their routines. In fact, that's probably the number one word that you'll hear. People get up, at whatever time that they typically get up. They'll do a certain thing first that gets them going. And so I'm going to start there. Your morning routine is probably the most important thing because that's sort of like starting the engine, right? So whether it's 5 or 5:30, you wake up and get up, right? And because you need to show up. And so when you wake up and you'll have your morning ritual, brush your teeth, comb your hair, do some exercise, take a walk, whatever workout, followed by the next thing, right? And that's to journal. You see, I heard this expression a long time ago, and I've adopted it, that a life worth living is worth writing. And so you may not find what you're writing about, or you might think that it's trivial today, but it's great to reflect back on, number one. And number two is that it really shows you what you have done. So if you keep track of what seems like trivial things, I remember what was a like astronomical goal many, many years ago. Today was like, check that one off, because it was in that journal. It was part of the written goals. And so you got to start your day documenting, like I start my day and I go like, what were my three biggest wins yesterday? Right. So it causes me to, you can't talk about wins without having a positive attitude, which is all part and parcel of this. So what are my top three intentions for today? What do I want to be able to look back and say that I did that was good? And three is enough. Believe it or not, three could be, with today's distractions and all the things that we have to do, just to get those things done will take effort, you know? And the other thing that is very, very important is I always ask myself, what am I grateful for? So in that book, Savers, the word Savers is the acronym. S stands for silence. This is, take that moment, ground yourself, that a little bit of quiet time starts your day with like a clean slate. The A is for affirmations. We all have certain affirmations that we want to say, a lean, mean, and a money making machine, whatever you want to say. But those affirmations, the V is to visualize. I don't care. Like Patrick was talking about, top athletes have top coaches. And one of the things that every athlete will tell you that they do is they visualize the game they're going to play before they even play it, right? And so all they're doing is realizing what they affirmed, what they visualized, and the E after the V is the exercise. You cannot have a great mental mind without taking care of your physical body. It's the only one you got. And again, successful people prioritize a little bit of exercise. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a lot. Walking, stretching, that kind of stuff is key. The R is for reading. The old story, right? Readers are leaders. And the ability to constantly be in the learning mode is very important. And so read a little bit. I read 10 pages a day, systematically, routinely, every morning. And then the S is scripting, which we're right back to this conversation of the journal. Write down, a life worth living is worth writing about. And so then after you've done your routine, and for me, that's sort of my kickoff routine. I do all 5 or 6 of those things. And then I go into whatever I'm going to do, prepare for my radio show every morning. Then I go live every morning. And so whether it's podcasts, radio show, Bible passages for mindset, whatever you want to do it consistently and routinely without even thinking about it. Because now notice you're now in forward motion and momentum. And again, when you start your day, have those 3 things or your top task in writing in front of you. Once you've got that laid out, you're going to find that your day goes much more smoothly. You're ready on momentum. And then you got to start putting into place. Now, what are the things that make me money, that move the needle forward in my profession? And
this
number one,
So I don't-
number one is to generate leads, right? The lifeblood of a business is to generate leads. We often talk about our webinars. We talk about the different things that we do systematically. And so every day I got to work on it. I got to schedule it. I got to set it up. I got to build my list. Number 2, big important thing is the agent follow-ups. Follow up on the properties that you're trying to buy, the properties you're trying to sell, follow up on the agents that you're working with. All of these things are important to be structured and in your routine. And these are the things, by the way, and that you got to keep focused. And when you're setting up, what 3 things do I want to do? I want to generate certain number of leads. I want to make sure that, and I'm not talking about dialing, I'm talking about talking, right? Because,
Right.
when you dial a number and they don't answer, yeah, you can check that box off, but what counts is the contacts you make and the relationships that you're starting. And then of course, you got to reserve some of that time, whether it's that silence in the very early part of the morning, or whether you like to do it at the end of the day. You got to do some high level thinking, not working all day just in your business, but also on your business, because we tend to lose sight of the trees through the forest. And so when you put those things together, that daily routine, those power blocks that help you to move the football forward down the field, now you can basically come back and say, did I meet my daily intents? Am I honoring my top three priorities? Keep reminding yourself, because at the end of the day, who are you accountable to? You. Speaking of you, back to you, Patrick.
Nice. So, man, we've covered a lot of content with just two letters, the W and the I in win. The next piece is the N, and the N stands for nurture. So the wonder or the why, the intent, and then the nurture. Now, this is really poignant because I've got to tell you, in the last week, a number of things have transpired. One of them was this same podcast that we did last week was on the concept of team. And an acronym that we use there is together, everyone achieves more. And Eric, you said something super profound in your segment just a moment ago, and that is making contact. And I don't care whether it's a contact of a cold call, a contact of somebody on your team, a contact of somebody in your family, but our success in this business comes from making contact and making a difference in people's lives. So we tend to get caught up in this business. Oh, I've got to make X number of phone calls to get X number of things. That can be paralyzing to a lot of people. And yesterday, I had a very interesting thing happen. I'm a member of several different teams. This team, the 5-year real estate career team, is the nucleus of many things that I do personally. And I've got another team that we work on selling distressed assets. And one of my team members called me up yesterday and he goes, hey, because we have 3 new listings to board today, which was great. So I got to engage 3 new realtors that we are listing properties with and handling loss mitigation and short sales. But one of them says, I do a podcast every week. And he goes, I got a ton of people that would love to hear more about these short sales and what's happening today in the distressed real estate market. Would you guys like to be regular guests on that podcast? And of course, the answer was yes. And just out of the blue, that contact, that discussion, not just sending a form via email to somebody, here, sign this and send it back, but getting to know somebody just a little bit opened a tremendous door of opportunity. And that is the thing about nurturing. This is a people business, folks. It really is a people business. And if we can learn to interact with the people that we talk to, you will be amazed at where business comes from. The sickest, scariest thing to do is to pick up a phone and call a stranger and ask them if they want to sell a house. That's cold call. And we all hate those things, even though it does work too. But the best thing is when you can have that conversation with somebody that you're comfortable talking with or that you've just met and find the doors that can be opened and lead to things. So, in the nurture thing, we talk about growing through challenge and through relationship. So one of the things that James Whitaker talks about is the stretch zone. Now, we talked about working out, whether it's in the morning or the evening, everybody's got their usual time, but to try and do one uncomfortable thing every day. And if you follow Eric's advice about journaling, which I do a version of journaling every single day, it looks like crap because I doodle a lot when I'm thinking, but I do the same thing. Now, it's part to-do list, it's part done list, and it's part ideas. That day in my notebook, which I don't throw away, I save them in because I may use them at some point down the road, but they mean something to me every single day. And if you wonder, what is the uncomfortable thing? Well, it's that thing that goes from your to-do list every single day that never gets done. But you know what's important? That's the uncomfortable one. That's the one you want to start on first thing that you get started in the morning. We've got the most energy. And when you get that done first, then you've got the rest of the day to relish in that success. So what are some of the uncomfortable things that we can do? Well, Skip, you talk about recording videos, whether they're 30-minute snippets. And by the way, whether you do anything with them or not, just make the video. You'll get better at them to the point that you might say, this was pretty damn good today. I'm going to post this out on social media. I'm going to share it with the people with whom I have relationships that may want to talk to me about something to do with what I just said in that video on real estate. Follow up on a rejection. one of my other teammates, an investor group, every single day asks his team, and I do it, by the way, for 5 things. First thing is, what did you win today? Tell me about one win that you had. The second thing is, what loss did you incur? What was one failure? And what are you doing about that? What are you doing about that failure? By the way, if you don't have a failure, chances are you're not going to have any wins either. You need to have those failures. Remember, Go for the No, which is one of our other podcasts. And then he asks about what are some things that you're looking to grow on? What do you want to achieve more ethereally? And then what can we do to work together on that? Great little 5-question thing for the team. And it just gets everybody to talk together with each other. And sometimes it's hard to come up with the answer right off the top of your head. We may not have had that home run win every single day, but the little wins, the ones that push that ball forward towards the end zone. Follow up on the rejections. Ask for a builder partnership. New construction is still a hot thing, and in certain marketplaces, those are very important. I reached out to a builder yesterday and asked who their mortgage person was because I wanted to chat with them about some things, and it was interesting how that conversation led as well. I'll talk with you guys about that in a bit. And then call a top producing agent to invite them to be part of your team, whatever team that may be. And again, there can be several teams that you're part of. Your business delivery team, your mortgage, title, insurance, handyman is a team. Your family is a team. The 5-year career is a team. All of these things working together help you achieve your goals so much more than being alone, sitting by yourself, worrying about where your next check is going to come from. Get going with your team. All right, so the evening wind down. We talked about the morning. We talked about during the day. What are 3 things that you did well today? Much like what my teammate does every single day with his group. What are 3 things that you did really well? And then a quick voice text or a gratitude shout out to one person. That's important. Hey, I wanted to thank you for something today. And we do it right here on this podcast. We acknowledge each other's commentary, and it's helpful because, we can all use a pat on the back or a nice thank you from somebody from time to time. And then reflect, what did I learn from today's discomfort or resistance? Folks, this is super important because we will find in our real estate career, there are things that we just hate to do, and they may be vitally important to our success. Well, you either need to overcome that or find somebody on the team that loves that, that loves chatting it up with people and work on a way to leverage that together. Super important. And then lastly, the weekly reset. And again, this WIN program is the daily routine. We've all talked about the annual goals, your income goals, and your quarterly resets, but the daily reset. Did I do something? In fact, I hate to say this, folks, I weigh myself twice a day. I weigh myself before I go to bed to see what that looked like during the course of the day. And it's amazing how much weight I can put on during the day, which is not permanent, but then I do it again the following morning before I've eaten anything so I can see where my range lies, right? So those are the daily resets that we can look at. But review your wins, your lead count. What kind of productivity have you done? And be honest. Real estate is a business that you should have successes, financial successes weekly. And I don't mean very weekly, I mean every 7 days. And so if we're not there yet, there's got to be a reason for that. And how do we get there? And if you don't know the answer, talk to your team. Together, everyone achieves more. And then celebrate your successes and have fun with that. So what we didn't talk about today is one of the things that we can all do to help each other is our Done For You webinar program. The 3 gentlemen on this team do one thing really well together, and that is generating massive, abundant leads. Because the key to the 5-year real estate career, where we earn direct, indirect, and passive income, comes from abundant, cost-efficient, consistent leads. And doing webinars is one great strategy, no matter how new or old you are in this business. We do first-time homebuyer webinars. In fact, I'm going to share my screen momentarily here. And Skip, why don't you give us a brief overview on
While you're saying
webinar
that,
series?
Patrick, first of all, I think it's so funny, and because we didn't discuss every little detail here, but I also weigh myself twice a day, and it is the funniest
Well,
thing.
hey, I'm only once, but every morning, the first thing I do when I get up is weigh myself. You always
Yeah,
weigh, hey, do you know this, guys? This is has no relevance to this webinar, but you always weigh less in the morning. Have you noticed
Yes,
that?
100%. 100%.
negative. And I'll disagree with that one because
Okay.
I weigh myself in the morning, just like you guys, and then I like to weigh myself after my workout.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
And so then I know where I could get to, and I know there's a lot of water loss and everything
Yep.
like that. But it's kind of I look at the other way that what I get to my workout is what I want to be my next morning wake up, so that
There
I'm
you go.
constantly moving a
hey,
little
we
bit.
listen,
Exactly.
listen, this is probably one of the most significant things. Every one of us on this call, including Andrew, who happens to be with us on the call this morning, uh, we all exercise. And we exercise our minds, but we exercise our bodies. And as we get older in life, that is one of the most significant things that keeps your mind fresh. I think exercise is a critical component of life.
I agree, Skip. I'm gonna before I show, and we're sharing our screen right now. We're gonna get to that in a minute, but it's funny. Exercise is a great example for the three of us on this call. We take it for granted. Eric said it earlier because when that monumental task that now is just a tick on the list. For a lot of people, working out, they dread it, they fear it, they postpone it, they put it off. I personally have learned to love it. I hate it when I don't work out. I feel so bad if I miss my morning bike ride or my afternoon gym session. It's just the opposite. And that's how this whole win program works. Once we can build into our daily routine that need for the same success, that endorphin that we get from winning the day, that's powerful. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code on your screen. This is the flyer that we use in our 5-year real estate career to get 30 to 40 registered home buyers every single webinar on the call. If you think 30 or 40 home buyers could help you grow your business, then we encourage you to reach out to us at 5yearcareer.com or at our YouTube channel, and let's talk about that. It's a simple way to grow your business in a huge way. It's something that we believe in. We do it every single month, and we can do it for you, and we can do it with you. So again, at 5yearcareer.com or at 5yearcareer on our YouTube channel, reach out to us. We do have a win.
I
Yes.
just go ahead, because then I want to throw something in
No,
about
I'll
that
let you go.
5 year.
We do have a special gift for you too, and I think Eric, you might be covering that next. So take it away.
I can, but the thing that I wanted to mention, like all of those things might seem overwhelming, which is why you got to do this in writing. So it all comes back to why scripting, part of journaling is that to-do list and Patrick's to-done list, because there's an enormous sense of satisfaction. There's a dopamine rush when you check off something that needs to be checked off on your daily list, and that keeps you going. But here's the other thing. One of the things about the 5 year career, which I found fascinating, is how you automate a lot of these things. So when you have the coaching, you set up the goals, and you have a good database, your database is automatically tracking, how many leads did I have yesterday? I don't have to write down all the names, because they're automatically inserted into my database. The count is automatically shown to me. I know how many opportunities I have. I know how many people are in process. All of this is automatically documented in our system. So I just wanted to highlight that, because while it sounds overwhelming, it actually becomes very easy and methodical afterwards. So speaking about methodical, we wanted to give you guys something good, something valuable also to take away. We have a tracker. And if you want a copy of that tracker, as you can see, each one of us do the routines, but we customize it to our own lifestyle and our own style. So take the tracker, make it yours, but make it a habit. And in order to get that tracker, all you have to do is text the word tracker to 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. Back to you, Patrick.
All right. So folks, that ends yet another.
Or
Oh,
Skip.
Skip has something
Yeah,
valuable.
I just have one other reason why webinars are the most important thing that anyone can do. The reason number one is confidence, because I don't care who you are. If you're brand new to this business, you need confidence. And when you're part of a webinar and a consumer is exposed to a polished webinar, they gain confidence in you. That's number one. Number two is credibility. credibility is critically important for a brand new agent or even an existing agent. Maybe you're stuck. Your business hasn't grown in the past couple of years. Well, that credibility, your personal credibility, is improved dramatically if you're doing webinars, educating people, not selling people. And finally, and it's really critically important, you need to expose your business on a consistent basis. And a webinar once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month is a great way to become the power player in your local market, the educator in your local market. And the last reason to do webinars is the quality of the lead that you receive is far greater than the quality of the lead when you buy it from Zillow or buy it from somebody else, because these people have an interest in registering for a webinar. Real name, not Donald Duck, real email, and real phone number. That is the power and strength behind doing webinars. And again, for more information, call us, get with us.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does end episode number 63 of the 5-Year Real Estate Career Video Podcast. We thank you for joining us. And again, visit us on our YouTube site, visit us on our website, like us, follow us, use what you learn. And again, don't be shy. Reach out to us. We are here for you. It's a simple phone call. Become part of our team, and we'll become part of yours. Without any further ado, talk to you later. Have a great weekend, everybody.